Hello, Control. Suspect will not be a problem.
Albion is recruited.
Say hello to him.
Albion is recruiting. Sign up to protect your city today.
You have somewhere to be. Jesus. I thought you weren't supposed to be outside. I could be wrong.
All right.
Huh?
Oh, my fucking ears! What a rubbish bit of kit. Toe rag.
That shit's gotta stop!
Do you have somewhere to be?
Oh, that bloody knives!
When necessary.
Bollocks.
No.
That's a bollocks.
Public demonstrations have the potential to turn violent. All persons are advised to avoid areas where public demonstrations are occurring.
Oh.
Shite. Fucking shite.
is London Calling. You're listening to me, Kat, on Bucket
Auto drive now enabled.
GBB. As we know, the broadcaster has been through a lot of changes since the Hassani government gave in to pressure from its corporate backers and privatised the corporation. Today, the GBB is a shadow news for itself. It's become a tool used by the government to circulate fake news and misinformation. So how did we get here? Where did it all go wrong? How can we tell when our national media has become state propaganda? Our experts speak on conditions of anonymity for their own safety. Here's disinformation and media expert Charles, who's seen free broadcasters built up by journalists and torn down by demagogues all over the world.
So before the media fragmented, there was this voice of authority that was trusted and
Shit!
worthy
I've never had a
of
combat
trust.
drone after me
Then
before.
what we ended up with is a really commercial model where whether you're talking about an app on a smart device or whether you're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing was to keep you in that environment for the longest amount of time possible. And because that meant money in their pocket. And in order to do that, a couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling or keep you listening or keep you looking for more information. The second is that that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories, and it didn't matter whether they were true or not. It just kept people in, and it kept them in the loop. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything, and nobody believed anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait, we are the truth. So the ground for this environment really got created when we had suddenly authoritarian politicians everywhere. Anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation, that's fake news. And again, we got in a situation where nobody really believed anything. And the trouble is if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you can counter it is by saying, no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleground. Here's media researcher and academic Alfie.
The media has of course been perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played this kind of key role in methods of state control. I think what's happening now is perhaps even more concerning, where previously in pre-crisis Britain we had perhaps more diverse voices in the media, but now with the GBB you're really only seeing one brand of news and therefore only getting one truth. So people end up with a very biased and controlled idea of the reality and the world that we're actually living in. There was, of course, many concerns and many problems, but in a way there were some positive things that, like, not all information was coming from one place, and so you'd have kind of far-right media outlets developing and then left-wing media outlets developing to combat those and kind of challenge the mainstream newspapers, TV stations, radios, and make sure people were questioning the the validity and truth of the information they were receiving. So whilst there was the digital afforded more fake information, it also makes us suspicious and sceptical of information and makes us question the information we're getting. And I think in pre-crisis Britain, it might not have seemed great at the time, but there was something positive about that there was a lot of distrust in the media and in the different kinds of truths that were being told. Whereas now, I think you're seeing a return to a more traditional and older pre-digital sense, actually, of people just trusting what they're told, and that's why we have to be here with radio stations like this to challenge those conceptions. Most citizens feel pretty hopeless, I think, and unable to fight back against these kind of huge mainstream corporations that simply entrench and support the ideals and ideologies of the state. It can seem very hopeless indeed, but I think, you know...
Let's wait around and see if this hitman...
There is still a space to combat these false truths and disinformation that's being sold to us, and it's never possible really to completely shut down, despite all the technologies that they have at their disposal and all the financial and corporate power. And
there's a hitman nearby who's after one of our potential recruits. I recommend you deal with the situation quickly.
On the mood for your shit.
The hitman has been neutralized. I'll tell our prospect the good news. Now that you've helped them, they might be willing to talk to us.
Enough of this shit!
All units, I repeat, all units. We have reports of a hostile in your area.
Investigating. Stand by.
Stamps on any civil rights bastard.
So much lighter and so much more convenient. It's great.
Vicky, you sound like you absolutely love the Optic. Do you actually think that it's made our lives any better?
I mean, sure, it's definitely made things a lot easier. It's so... simple to call someone now. All you have to do is choose who you want to chat to. And they're there, ready to talk. And browsing the web is so much easier. I remember when you used to have to sit down at a computer with an actual fucking tool.
Control. Let's put out an APW. We're getting nowhere here.
You appear to be someone interested in helping London. Are you with DedTech? Because I...
How can you say that? It's bad enough we're under constant surveillance, but the checkpoints?
Auto drive now enabled. Draconian device on us at all. Sure, everybody flocked to it. There was free Wi-Fi and phone plans. That definitely helped, but it wasn't a case of this is a product that you need in your life.
Why do you hate it so much?
It's just the worst because you had to give up your privacy expectations and accept surveillance. It was almost like the government and Bloom didn't even need to make the Optic mandatory. Making it mandatory was only to get the last holdouts across the line. If free data didn't convince you, fines and arrests from the state for not having the Optic would pretty much be enough.
I mean, what do you mean by privacy problems? No one really talks about that anymore.
They don't talk about it because we don't have any choice when it comes to the optic. Yes, it's convenient and mandatory, but everybody's forgotten what it really means. Here, you've got a whole company owning basically all the data about your life. Bloom can see everything that you can see. Nothing is private anymore. There are so many times when I don't want anyone to have a clue about where I am, who I'm chatting with, what I'm doing. It's not even dodgy stuff, but I just don't want anybody to blackmail with me with this in the future by hacking it. And because of Bloom's contracts with the government, it isn't just Bloom that can see everything I do, it's the government. The UK as a state has become a complete surveillance paradise.
I think you're painting a bit of a bleak picture. It's not all that bad.
No, you're completely wrong on this. I don't want everybody tracking me wherever I'm going around London.
Well, in that case, you might be interested in some rumours I heard. Did you hear that some DedSec hackers have found a way to bypass the optics connection with Bloom?
Are they actually making it better or usable or actually friendly for anybody?
Well, word on the street is that they've been able to create an encrypted signal, which means that your world might have a chance of becoming a bit more private again, so you could go back and enjoy all the great things about optic without that fear of surveillance.
With the optic, privacy's dead.
You're listening to The Bug.
May cause nausea, vomiting and headaches. Hello Britain, this is The Bug, the show that holds up a mirror to the world and smashes itself on the head with it in despair. I'm Andy, joining me, as always, Alice, and...
I deny everything.
It's just a good state of existence. Some good news, at last. There are no medicine shortages, according to the government, none at all. There have been various allegations about that. It turns out they are all fake news, trademark. There are none. There are no shortages of medicine. Don't take it from me. I'm not a medical supply expert. Take it from our beloved government. It's fine. In fact, I'm going to read between the lines here and actually say there's probably there's too much medicine, if anything. Just medicine. You can't move for medicine. In fact, just this morning, I tried to pour some cornflakes into a bowl for breakfast and out tumbled a 12-month course of immunosuppressants, corticosteroids.
You have reached your destination.
Estrogous spermatotropic fruit pastels.
The people claiming there are medical shortages are probably high on lots of medicine that they've been given. I, for one, believe that there are no medical shortages, Andy. Just last week, I went in with a broken arm and they suggested it might just be extreme period pain and prescribed me a drink of water and an astrology chart.
We can't be too far away from them just prescribing stiff upper lip like they did.
My uncle had a leg removed due to diabetes. They halved his insulin because they said there was less of him to be diabetic.
So, anyway, people don't believe what you read or hear about there not being enough medicine drugs to go around. It's not true. It's hospital hogwash, it's pharmaceutical flim-flam, it's medical mendacity, it's humbug, it's nonsense.
If you want to make a difference, you should work with us.
You with DedSec? Maybe you can help me destroy everything I've ever worked for.
Come again?
I worked at a pharmaceutical lab for a time. Now, my boss has sold my work to Albion, after firing me, of course. I've heard it's been repurposed to serve some awful military objectives. I can't live with myself as long as that goes on. I'm asking you to destroy my old files. I will give you all the information I have.
All right. No time to waste, then.
Cheers. Listen, help me with this, and I'll return a favour. I always do.
Bagley, some assistance, please.
Well, I've got nothing coming up when I noodle Evil Lab, but fortunately we've been given the name of a high-level Albion employee who should have that information in their personal files. Here's their info.
Unit 14, requesting immediate TSU to this location.
Medicine. If you today got diagnosed
Auto drive
with a
now
potentially
enabled.
fatal illness, would you not look around at the nation that we've become and think, hey doc, put your life-saving treatment down, I'm going to take this free one-way bus out of here. Now hold that pillow over my face until the twitching stops.
I just don't think we should think of it in such a negative way. Don't think of it as a medicine diet, Andy. Think of it as a series of healthy lifestyle swaps. Swap out anti-inflammatories for antacids. Swap out...
It's nice to finally have my work appreciated.
Swap
You're
out
welcome.
MRI machines for Mary machines, which is just a lady called Mary telling you you're fine.
Obviously, critical shortages are as much part of our daily lives, our society and our culture today as things like football, music and complaining about the weather used to be in the old days, and food shortages, you know.
Albion will disassemble the local governments by any means necessary.
Stop wasting my time.
Eating all that Mediterranean muck. Let's have British food for British tummies. Spelt, nettles, rabbit. That's all we need. That's all we need in the glory days. Everyone round to Nigel's for dinner. Yum yum.
Who needs Italian olives when you can eat pickled rubber bands and a soup of regret? Who needs a nice cheese when you can eat a lukewarm, unspecified rat meat pie with 0 spices?
Sand, nettles, and bits of dead fox. That's all we needed to eat in the glory days. Let's make Britain great again. That's all from the Bug today. Good night, sleep tight, and make sure the bed bugs do bite.
This is London Calling. You're listening to Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. With me, Tash. It's hard to believe that there could be shortages of food and medicine in an advanced country like ours. And yet, here we are. Those old government promises of adequate food turned out to be just another lie. Today we're short of basic foodstuffs and vital medical supplies. Hundreds have already died of conditions that could be easily cured. The black market means that criminal gangs like Clan Kelly run our cities. And Prime Minister Dev Hassani isn't even around to pretend to care. How do we go from a consumer paradise to a place of empty shelves and fighting for supplies? What turns a land of plenty into a wild west of hoarding, food battles and black market barons? We protect everyone who comes on the podcast by keeping their identities a secret. Here's veteran political reporter Ian on the power behind shortages.
Look, I mean, what was the first thing that happened when Britain sealed itself off? Like, the first stuff that got stopped from coming in was fresh food. I mean, we could live without the fresh food. I mean, everyone's quality of life got instantly worse, but we could live without it. The most damaging part was when the radioactive isotopes stopped coming in. Now, radioactive isotopes, that's what we use in cancer screening and cancer treatment. Now, that stuff, it has a short half-life. Technetium used to save hundreds of thousands of lives just by
Auto drive now
cancer,
disabled.
let alone testing for cancer. But that stuff has a half-life of 66 hours. As soon as those walls went up, there was just no time to bring it into the country, and that is when people started dying. And then the medicines. The thing is, there's loads of medicines that you just can't stockpile. There was a moment before it took place when actually there was some effort to try and stockpile some of the medicines. There was some things that could be done. For a lot of it, there was simply nothing that could be done. We had a major problem with drugs for schizophrenia. So we saw such an uptick in the kind of attacks that you saw in the street and people suffering on their own because they didn't have the mental health drugs, because those drugs simply couldn't be stockpiled. We eventually found the same thing with foods that weren't produced in the UK. And the trouble with the UK was...
The Albion employee we're looking for should be around here. There's the Albion employee. I can scrape his optic data for intel.
Disturbance detected. Beginning the investigation.
Someone mind telling me one guy...
Sending the data now.
I found where our friend's research is being stored.
Good lad. On my way.
When capitalism fails to deliver. Here's underground writer and analyst Alfie, The Politics of Poverty.
I think what we've come to now is a realisation that capitalism's essentially failed. I mean, one key promise of capitalism that it makes to its citizens is that there will be surplus, that we will have plenty, and that's the whole logic for running society in this way, that people will have enough. And now, with these kind of huge shortages of everything, you're seeing that system collapse. It hasn't delivered on its primary promise. And I think we've really reached a situation where we have to do away with capitalism entirely. We're seeing a situation where there's shortages for the many, but for a few individuals, there's an elite who are not struggling and short of anything. So this is kind of fundamental inequality of a capitalist system, which is no longer producing the goods for most of us. Shortages are being used as well. I'm not saying that there isn't a real shortage. There possibly is real shortages, but shortages are being used as an excuse for those in power, those elites, to keep what they want and not give to the rest of us what we need. So the excuse that there's simply not enough to go around is the justification for maintaining a kind of power of the 1% and leaving the rest of us short.
So if you're starving hungry tonight, if your parents can't get their medicine and your brothers and sisters have to steal to eat, remember, it's all for the good of Albion. Or Clan Kelly. Or someone. Just not us. But that's going to change. You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. Keep spreading the word and keep sharing this podcast. There's enough of everything out there for all of us. We just need the guts to take it back.
They say nature abhors a vacuum, and so it seems with London's dark economy. Join us on GBB to learn why London's criminals are selling food to refugees.
The Bug. Objective voice of objection for a most objectionable world. Hello, Bugsters. Welcome to The Bug, the comedy show that holds up the producer of satire to the already immovably concrete face of modern Britain. I'm Andy, I bench 480, and I can crack a tree in half just by looking at it. Can I? Well, what is reality anyway?
I'm here.
Right, our friend's research should be somewhere in this facility. That's the server with our friend's research on it.
Stand down.
It's a small... Oh, no, fuck, no!
Stay down and don't annoy me.
Doing a sweep of the premises. Drone, perform a search. The drug our friend was working on increases awareness and hostility by 72%. So basically social media in a pill. Albion was going to give it to their people, but I've just wiped their research data.
Good lad. I did what you asked.
Well done, well done. Guess I owe ya.
The best recompense you could give us would be to join the cause.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
What do we have, Bagley?
It appears Albion has mapped out the locations of a number of dissidents in the city. I doubt they're planning their Christmas card list. I'll make sure someone sends a warning.
Alright, stay still. I'm gonna pat you down.
Stop giving me the runabout.
With a wasp pistol. But crucially, compared with Albion, the East India Company didn't operate its $250,000 strong army in London. It did it a long way
Auto
away,
drive now
out of
enabled.
sight, out of mind. Anyone to nominate for the bug off, Alice?
I think today's bug off for me goes to my streaming service. I'm sick of being recommended things based
Auto
on
drive
things I
now
already
disabled.
liked. The other day it recommended me to watch a reality TV competitive dating show set in a nude commune. Andy, I watched it and I liked it, and I do not want to be the kind of person who enjoys nude competitive reality television dating shows. I did not want to know that about myself. I have to go sit in the corner and cry.
That's it from the bug. Don't forget the live show that is so secret it is definitely not happening at the usual time and place this month. Definitely not. Definitely do not tell anyone not to come to it. It's definitely not happening. Usual time and place. Bye. The bug, nibbling away at the rotting carcass of a once
Yum yum.
Hello, Resistance fans. You're listening to the Bug Podcast, the objective voice of objection for this most objectionable world. I am Andy, not my real name, so good luck finding me, Monsieur Bloom. My real name is, in fact, Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is, in fact, the most densely populated place on Earth these days. Overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour, whose Netherlands of nonsense, it's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice. I am not going to tell you that. But you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Are you ready for a new operation?
Sure. Could use the workout.
The enforcer we're after is here, currently enforcing some poor bastard's head into the pavement. If you take them out, our boxer friend may live to fight another day.
know when you're beaten.
Come out and face me, you fucking cowards!
Target spotted.
Now, don't be...
There, who says violence never solves anything? Now Scarper or they'll kill you for sure.
Huh. We did it. Nice work.
Don't break out the tiny party hats just yet. We might have bought our boxers some time, but once Clan Kelly finds out what happened, they'll almost certainly want revenge. Suggest you warn him.
On my way.
4,000 illegal. Were deported.
Auto drive now enabled.
These illegal people breaking the law just by existing, and of course illegality is contagious. It can osmose through your skin just by standing next to an illegal person. So we've got rid of 4,000 of them. My question for you, Alice, is why only 4,000? Is that really enough? I will not feel safe until at least another 75 million people have been deported from this country, and I'm here in Britain on my own.
As a bleeding heart lefty, Andy, I would normally be outraged about this, but really I think mass deportation is a very handy way to break up with a partner. I'm sorry, baby, I love you, but an anonymous source has reported you for snoring really loudly in a French way.
So everyone out, no exceptions, Alice, not even you. It's for the good of the country. Everyone out, unless you can prove that your family are in the background of the Bayeux Tapestry cheering on King Harold at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Get out! Actually, that's not British enough. Unless you can show, unarguably, that your direct bloodline is untainted by anything since before the Romans. Actually, scratch that. Unless your direct ancestor was personally responsible for building Stonehenge, get out of my country. I guess when you look at it, you know, the best ways to stop immigration, apart from, obviously, the end of the world, to make the place you want to stop people coming to as unpleasant as possible. So,
Well, we absolutely are doing that, Andy.
well, you know, fair play to the government for helping us with that. Another option, extend the White Cliffs of Dover. They've been resting on their laurels for too long. Very inefficient, it turns out, as a means of stopping immigration. We need to extend them by about another 11,000 miles, a full wrap around Great Britain, and they could do with being about 1.5 kilometres higher as well, with a special greasy coating to stop people clambering over the top of it however they get in. Here's a quick joke for you, Alice, about immigration. Did you hear the one about the woman who went into the immigration processing centre and was ever seen again?
No, Andy, I didn't hear that one.
Boom. Set up, punchline. Classic. For those of you unfamiliar with it, the Immigration Processing Centre is, of course, where so many of our guests to Britain go for a longer than desirable game of involuntary hide-and-seek. You are listening to The Bar. I will conclude by saying, out of all the things wrong with Britain today, I think immigration is right up there, Alice. When you think of all the health professions we've stolen from overseas over the years here in Britain, it's quite possible that all these people are just coming here to try to get an appointment with their local doctor.
Yes, Andy, certainly as someone who came from the expanded arm of the empire when Britain was still reaching out rather than folding in on itself. Most of us just come here to visit our stuff in the museums.
It's the British way.
Speaking of international movement, Britain has recalled all European ambassadors after a spy scandal. You think this is possible?
You might want to hurry. I'm detecting some Clan Kelly movement in the area.
Listen, we don't have much time. You're in danger.
What do you mean?
The Kellys aren't happy about you winning that last match and want you gone. We took down the first goon they sent after you, but more are on their way.
Ha! I've been craving a little street fight.
Appreciate it, but no. There's too many for you to take on alone. Find somewhere safe, and we'll draw their attention for as long as we can.
Right. Whoever you are, thank you. I'll owe you for this.
Enemies incoming.
Let's make things interesting.
That does it. Get somewhere safe so we can contact our fighter.
You okay?
I've been through worse. Those damned Kellys just don't let up. I'd love the chance for a rematch.
DedSec's always looking for more people. You interested?
All right. I'm in. Let's have some fun.
Let's call the phone line. Here's the number. Listeners, in case you want to dob someone in, as long as it's not me.
Hey, I've got something to say. Now where's smoking? No? Oh, shit. Brick! No thanks.
Hey, I'd like to report my co-host Andrew, who ran an
Now
underground
we're
comedy show for running and co-hosting an underground security and comedy show. Also, he got 30 pounds.
Well, excuse me, I have a suspect for you. That is my co-host, Alice. I have some evidence for you.
You look like someone ready to make a difference.
How did you know I was looking for DedSec? I need someone that can get anywhere. You game?
Depends on the place. Why?
There's a file I need at these coordinates. Get it for me, and we'll talk. Oh, yeah, go!
Isn't she friendly?
I, for one, am intrigued by her mysterious aura, and I know literally everything, so that's saying something. I'll pass along the coordinates if you'd like to take on her request.
Kids are going to dob you in, so you might as well get in there first and preemptively counter-dob them in to the authorities.
Auto drive now enabled.
Let's call them up again. Hey, I've got someone else. It's my son. Let's call him Norris. He never tidies his bedroom. He gets up late. He listens to illegal, non-government sanctioned music and is covertly plotting the downfall of the government and the restoration of a true democracy. Thank you.
Yeah, just to define all your household chores as patriotic. And if they fail to do them, dob them in.
Problem solved.
If you don't do the washing up, do you even want a clean British ethnostat?
This is the bug on the Buccaneer. Well, before we go today, Alice, let's delve into what we most miss about the old days. I'm going to kick off with...
Auto drive now disabled.
I miss the old Union Jack. Somehow, our new flag managed to be even more irritating than that. I don't know quite what it is, if it's the new colour scheme, or if it's just that it symbolises the loss of everything we once held dear. But that flag irritates the hell out of me.
Was everything you ever held dear Scotland?
Well, that was something I held quite dear.
I miss being able to dodge my friends' destination weddings in Italy. There's nothing worse than being asked to spend the equivalent of a motorbike on some sort of boat-based farce in Sorrento. And I always used to really enjoy saying, oh no, I can't afford it. Now they're all getting married in Brighton and I have to go to that alleged beach. It's made of rocks, Andy. If your sandcastle is an actual castle, that's not a beach.
I'll tell you what I miss. I miss free will. That was fun. Remember that? I mean, was it an illusion all the time? Who cares? It felt fun. I miss cash, particularly coins. I really miss coins. The fun of doing a heads or tails best of 5 to see if you had to go to the gym, and then the best of 7, the best of 9, until you want to. Now with crypto, all the romance has gone out. Heads and tails.
I miss romance, Andy. I miss there being mystery in life and not just a hope that your new partner isn't good enough at hacking to find out all the information the government has on you.
Bye for now, Bug fans. Keep feeding the kitten of resistance, because one day it will grow into a...
The coordinates point to a server in the vicinity. The I hope this isn't a bad time, but we need your particular skill set for something.
Present and ready. I'm going to be an expert on London geography soon.
There it is. You can hack in from there.
What do we have, Bagley?
More GPS coordinates. Seems we're on a bit of a scavenger hunt. I put the odds at about even we find a corpse at some point.
Interesting. Send the coordinates to my optic.
Grace. She wanted it. She took it.
Grace. Auto-drive now enabled. One word. Amazing.
If you want a favour, ask Grace.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Grace under pressure. Grace from God.
I didn't know what to expect, but I liked it a lot. It's amazing. Really.
See the show they're calling Amazing. Grace. Playing at the Pavilion now.
In today's episode of The Upload, we're talking about how Bagley managed to conquer London. Pretty much my favourite topic. I could talk for hours about the rise of the AI system. It's easy to forget about its origins. It's so present everywhere we go now. Bagley just kind of blends into the background.
Bagley is the service AI that's present in every Optic device. Whether you're using the Optic, Bagley will be there. The AI is streamed to your Optic from Bloom's central command centre, and it was first created by Skye Larson, our tech hero, as part of her techno-utopian idea for the world. Why do you think it grew so quickly?
In my mind, it's no surprise that Bagley became so popular. It's funny, useful, fast. It's a great companion and really just makes life so much easier. I mean, when you look back at all the service AIs that used to exist, they just can't compete. When you ask Bagley anything, there's a quick answer and loads of information available to you. One day, I let Bagley answer all of my messages for a whole 24 hours and no one even noticed the difference.
The other competitors really just couldn't compete with Bagley. Their answers were so much worse. They didn't understand anything, and Bagley pretty much gets everything right first time. Do you have any idea why Bagley really beat all the competition?
Well, it's really the data, isn't it? Ever since Broker hooked up with Bloom, that's when things changed.
And really, that's not actually that great. Bloom has data on everybody. They collect information about everything you're doing across the web through your Optic headset. Isn't the AI only good because of Bloom surveillance?
Well, I suppose so, but I'd prefer not to talk about that side of things. Bagley is so special because it's been trained on this huge cache of information. That's how these AI systems work, or at least used to work. I mean, we don't really know that much about the latest version because there's so much secrecy around the tech. But they're given this huge amount of training data. It's basically a huge database that's used to teach the AI about patterns in behaviour. You know, so if you always travel the same way to your house, it can predict when you're going to go and get a self-driving car ready for you before you even ask for it.
That's pretty terrifying. In some ways, I don't want this data to drive my life. It understands too much at times. Have you heard some of the rumours around the hacked version of Bagley?
I've heard mutterings, yes.
I've heard it's been used by DedSec.
I wouldn't put it past them. It's pretty well known that they're not fans of Bloom. But the idea of a souped-up version of Bagley, given it's already so intelligent, is a bit terrifying.
I wonder what they could actually make it do.
When a startup advertised passive income to anyone willing to enlist their autonomous vehicle in their networked taxi service, many people jumped at the opportunity. The hidden catch? Their cars were being used to ferry drug shipments. Join us at GBB for the full story.
Coming up today on The Upload, we're talking about Skye Larson, the enigmatic founder of Broker Tech. Everyone knows her name, but no one knows too much about her, and we only really see her these days as a hologram. She was pretty young when she launched Broker Tech, the company that is best known for introducing Bagley to the world. Nowadays, it's hard to remember a world before Bagley.
Bagley is the most advanced, significant AI of our time, and it's really blown all the other AIs that were created out of the water. And I think that what Skye Larson's done with Bagley is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really imagine the Optic without it. But what do you know about Skye Larson herself?
Not a lot, other than that she's actually pretty incredible. I've followed her work for a long time, and she's always been a pretty private person. I know that she supposedly grew up in the countryside, but there isn't actually that much more we know about her other than this tech that she's put out into the world.
I've always found it a bit creepy that she's so obsessed with this idea of transhumanism.
Why wouldn't you be? When you've got a mind as amazing as Skye's, why wouldn't you want to take what you've got and actually augment it by working with technology, by improving your physical self, changing your body and the world around you, implementing more technology to extend your life and really sort of extend human capabilities?
You sound pretty much in love with Skye Larson, I have to say.
I can't comment on that, but I am a big fan of her work. She's been one of these people that has transformed the world around us, and just watching how her mind works from afar.
Auto drive now disabled.
Correction, you're almost there. The exact coordinates point to a spot on the roof.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Go on, up you get.
Really incredible assistance to humanity as as a whole.
Did I ever tell you that I actually interviewed Guy Raz?
Ha! Took you long enough. Just kidding. DedSec, right? I've been watching your work, and I've got to say I'm impressed.
Was it imperative for us to have this conversation on the roof?
Oh, come on. It was just a little test. You're not the first that claims to be DedSec. So I had to make sure you were the real deal.
And?
And you passed. I want to fight for London too. So, can I join you lot, please?
Good to hear. Welcome to DedSec. Oh, for fuck's sake, they make drones this powerful? Now that's a blank canvas if I ever saw one. Just what this place needs.
Shit! That thing's down the
fuck out of here! You're a lifesaver.
Enough!
I've got your back. Fuck you!
Here's a pasting you'll never forget. Let's do this. Lousy maggots. Back up. Lay off, you damn drone. Let's dance. You asked for it. Here's a pasting you'll never forget.
Urgent call. Possible hostile at your location. Dance. Message received. Moving in. Over.
You asked for it.
And she was one of these people that just had an amazing presence. You were inspired by her very being, and she was just incredibly talented and knowledgeable, and one of possibly the best living people that I've ever met.
I'm not sure you're being too objective there. I mean, I imagine she's not very likable.
Any sign of the target?
She obviously despises humanity in some ways. I think she believes that becoming data is preferable to being human. She's one of these people who's extremely methodical in everything that she does, and she does everything to perfection and really tries to change the world around her and make it a better. The place for us to live in.
If you say so.
You're needed. Can you...
On my way.
How's it going?
You're listening to The Bug.
They cause nausea, vomiting and headaches. You're listening to The Bug, the Resistance comedy show.
Auto drive now enabled.
Network. I'm Andy. Joining me, as always, Alice.
I'm excited to be here. Apparently, the Resistance is not going well.
Again? Well, there has been some news about DedSec, the Resistance and/or terrorist organisation, delete according to preference. Not preference, sorry, delete according to whether or not you work for the government, SIRS, Bloom, McKellies or Albion. According to a SIRS official, DedSec is no longer a threat, which I guess is true in that it was never a threat in the first place. Reminds me of when my great aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, Andy, that's
You have reached your destination.
That knife at me, trying to knock me out. Well, they called a scalpel and an anaesthetic, Gladys. Anyway, if SIRS
Auto drive now enabled.
DedSec is dead and buried, I guess we have to assume that DedSec's never been stronger. But I do worry, Alice. I mean, sometimes I think, is there any hope? Do you still have hope?
I don't think I'm allowed to have hope. We're living in the self-selected, algorithmically designated information equivalent of a propaganda state, and every resistance that I've ever seen is weaker than the British pound. I feel like hope is an expensive thing to buy these days.
Right. I mean, is it all totally pointless? I mean, it can feel pointless, but then again, I've spent almost all of my life doing pointless things, like watching sport, thinking about sport, thinking about watching sport, learning French and hoping for a better future. All completely pointless. But yeah, I've done them, so we might as well carry on. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I think there is. Unfortunately, what is that like? Is it an oncoming train? Well, no, it couldn't be. Obviously, that train would be late or cancelled. Is the light at the end of the tunnel a burning effigy of the concept of hope? Quite possibly. Is it the soul of Sky Larson imploding into its own vacuum? May well be that. Is it the ego of Nigel Cass that is now so big that it's sucked all the light in the universe into itself? I think that is most likely. Is that? But we'll never give up, Bug fans. This resistance will never die. And one day, we will again be free. Free from these technological chains, free to choose our own futures, free to live our own lives, free to waste our time watching people bake cakes and dance badly again. Those were the days. Before we go, time for a quick bug off. I'm going to nominate this week Sky Larson here at the Bug. We are all in favour of strong, powerful women. And in many ways, Sky is the ultimate feminist icon, proving that women can do just as abominably awful things to this planet as men. I mean, overall, Alex, I think we're still ahead as men, but you're not catching up. Fair play to you. You are listening to The Bug.
You're listening to The Bug.
Nibbling away on the rotting carcass of a once free Britain. Hello, Resistors, this is The Bug, and on today's show, Alice and I will be looking at the big questions, such as, are we less than 2 years away from being able to turn a sausage back into a live pig? Did we actually need polar bears anyway? What do they really do? If I put Optic on my dog, can I train it to take itself for a walk and do my shopping on the way home? And, is tennis real? But first... it's a question that no one's really addressed of late. London is going to be safer than ever, Alice. SIRS is installing thousands of additional CCTV cameras. So nice there. Still looking after us after all these years.
Yeah, it puts a lot of fun into my life now. I get to play this role-play game where I pretend to know my loved ones better than some twat behind a screen in the SIRS headquarters.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't complain. I mean, SIRS...
Auto drive now disabled.
Vacancy left when it became patently obvious that God had retired. We think there are similarities, omnipresent, omniscient, judgmental, stripping away your finances and freedoms, dishing out random punishments, peas in a pod. All it needs to do, sir, is ban me from eating something. What's it going to be this time? Not bacon again, please. Please, not bacon. I couldn't. Courgettes. Ban courgette. I could take you banning courgettes. I'm happy.
It makes me feel important knowing that I'm being watched with everything I do, Andy.
Well, it's just not reassuring, isn't it? It's just like having extra eyes.
Usually aren't the gigantic criticisms on the King of Talk, right?
Yes,
This is the Bug on the Buccaneer. Let's move on now to...
Do you have it?
Of course, yes, here.
Fuck! What the shit?
If we're lucky, word hasn't spread that you've hung up your jackboots. Just try to put on your meek, harmless, broken by the system face. Oh, and don't forget your uniform. Looking sharp. Your ex-colleagues won't pay any attention to you unless you let them take a close look. A word of caution now we're inside. Any disturbance in here and Nigel Cass will surely cancel his meeting. Avoid being detected by your former colleagues or this operation is a bust.
Nigel won't have anything important on this floor.
You're quite knowledgeable about Cass, aren't you?
Yeah. I was Albion too, if you hadn't twigged to that. Me and Cass were close once. Looked up to him. He was bigger than life, fam. Literally a tech genius. And I was just a gearhead kid. I wanted to be like him. That's why I joined up.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Didn't find out he was a murderous prick until later.
I believe he has ensured that every security measure has been properly taken so that we are all well protected. As he likes to say. As well as some general improvements. Example, there will be interactive 3D displays cued to the viewer's optic, and a ring for Albion to operate.
My word. I dare say it sounds like this is very much a passion project for Nigel Cass, isn't it?
They're down the boots. I haven't got enough to do. Dealing with construction. Damn it!
I heard someone saying dead sick.
They better not be. Just a bunch of terrorists pretending to have morals.
This door clearly requires a security pass.
Well, that's just great.
Use one of the nearby computers to create your forgery.
Be careful. You don't want to know what Nigel does with trespassers.
I know, he's a little obsessed, but he's trying to keep people safe. In this day and age, that is what
You've been up there lately? That might be part of it, but I think he likes the power with her. Maybe a little too much. You understand?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But there's always an element.
Sure, that's what we're taking care of them.
I've heard some talk on the street that they may be back in their age.
It'll take some time for the forgery to be ready. To keep you occupied, I dragged up still images and a recording from an internal investigation into Cass Sr.'s death.
Show me.
Internal Psych Assessment AS001 Subject Cass Nigel. Mr. Cass experienced a deeply traumatic event when he witnessed the murder of his father, Gareth Cass, CEO of Albion. He began exhibiting symptoms soon after what he frequently described as the random event. Mr. Cass's initial symptoms included insomnia, paranoia, distorted blame, and recurring flashbacks. However, he appears to have channeled his anger and self-described powerlessness into his work to ensure that Albion become, quote, a mechanism for preventing unpredictable violence. It seems somewhat of a mania, edging on psychosis. For me, this raises concerns about Mr. Cass's fitness to run a multinational security company. But I cannot, at this time, make any recommendation beyond continued monitoring, especially considering that I have been asked to close this file.
Grand. They put someone incapable of processing their emotional baggage in charge of our security. Just grand.
Yeah, well, Nigel's never close to anyone but his dad. And me, I guess. Never had much faith in people, really.
Well, the pass is ready, but rough. If this resistance thing doesn't work out, I doubt you'll make a living as a document forger. Let's give it a go anyway. Nigel Cass awaits.
Promises about justice and doing what's right. When you see it loud, doesn't it? I don't see them actually making everything they say. How's it going? Seems a bit tense.
How are you getting on with those metrics? The deadline is coming up quickly. We wouldn't do to miss it. He's presenting to
Who is this? I know, but if I mess this up, and the whole project is delayed for... I don't know how. Come on, man.
Intruder alert! Intruder alert!
a name I can't tell you that. Always be
Find the prick!
I'm not one for brassy leather gloves, especially firearm kind. But let's use the say I really need it. Purposely clank Kelly's feeling increasingly take all the
So can you tell me a little bit more about how
This new project the director's presenting upstairs. I'm waiting to see it roll out. This is going to make our jobs that much easier and safer.
As safe as possible from terror.
I believe he has ensured every security measure has been properly taken so that we are all well protected. As he likes to say, there's nothing more valuable than our people's history.
That's quite admirable.
Get an APW out! The suspect is fled.
He still intends to reopen the museum?
Of course, I've seen the plans myself. Museum will be reopened after Mr. Cass is top dollar to upgrade
their damn boots before coming in. Like I haven't got enough to do. Dealing with construction.
And I wasn't hearing anyone else. And that made me feel real raw. More than anything, yeah. I mean, I feel like I missed out on a whole...
I heard someone saying DedSec was back.
They better not be. Just a bunch of terrorists pretending to have morals.
How's it going? Seems a bit tense.
How are you getting on with those metrics? The deadline is coming up quickly. You wouldn't do to miss it.
Thanks for
revolting stakeholders, right?
I know, but if I mess this up, then the whole project is delayed for...
Welcome to Project Themis. Our new autonomous drones. These drones can identify, isolate, and terminate threats before they can do harm. They can go anywhere, see everything. They could kill a man alone in an alley or in a crowd of hundreds with perfect precision. Themis drones can do what humans have always struggled to. Act immediately and decisively. Without your support, I couldn't stand here and tell you, I promise you, that with the launch of Project Themis, London will be the first city in the world to be made truly safe.
Mr. Cass, I was hoping you'd called us all in here today to discuss the ethical issues.
No, it's all right. The Commissioner cares, as we all do. I admire his passion and his dedication. Let's talk ethics.
Well, for one, Themis goes far beyond Albion's mandate. We really should have more government consultation.
I see. Delay the launch so that we can debate and assess the details.
We're missing the human element here. I can get the Defense Minister on the line right now.
Well, if you feel you must. It's the human element that got us into this. No more debate, delay, indecision. Understand this. I will not allow anyone, not even myself, to jeopardize Themis. Now, will our friends at Tidus be ready? You are the cornerstone of the project after all. Do you need to consult any outside parties?
No. We'll be ready.
And just in time. Criminals running our streets. Illegals threatening our families. The police commissioner himself. Assassinated by terrorists. Decisiveness is hard. But here's the best part. Once this decision is made, no more will be required of you.
A building-wide security sweep has been initiated due to document breach.
I warned you about that forgery. Your uniform will help. Don't let them get a close look at you.
Bagley, I need an exit. Quickly!
The catacombs, fam.
I'm
Find the
speechless.
particle. Now.
Think next time. Hey, haven't seen you around before. Give up now.
Saw Nigel in action in there, didn't you? Man can be very, persuasive.
He knows how to get his way. And he wants this Themis project launched post-haste. I doubt that's good news for London. Shite. Shit. I don't like this at all. What was that?
Albion's top-secret project is an automated killing machine. And it looks like Cass is almost ready to launch. We have to get Themis out of his hands.
I'll prepare a briefing. Will we see you there, Hamish?
Pretty face, not risking, remember? But patch me in. You and me got some scheming to do, Bagley.
I don't know why I was even worried. I'm getting quite good at being in DedSec, I think.
You wouldn't have been recruited if DedSec thought you'd be killed that easily.
Is that meant to be a compliment? Thanks if it is.
Oh, don't listen to him. Bags can come across a bit rude sometimes, but he's really sweet. Well done.
Hello. Someone else sloughed off work, and now it's your turn.
All right.
Investigation.
Someone help me! Back off, please. Shut up!
Excuse me, I need space.
Not interested.
You can't intimidate me. Not interested.